In June 2003, a lawsuit accused Poland Spring of false advertising. The claimants argued that the water didn't come from natural springs but from heavily treated common groundwater. They also alleged that the original Poland Spring source had dried up in 1967 due to over-extraction. While the advertisements claimed that Poland Spring was sourced from deep in the Maine woods, the accusation stated that one of the actual sources was next to an illegal waste dam, which might have contaminated the surrounding water. The lawsuit was settled a few months later. The company did not admit to the allegations, but agreed to step up quality control and pay $10 million in charity donations. Regardless of the lawsuit, Nestle continued to promote the brand in the same way. But what's the history of this brand? Where does the water come from? One day in 1844, Huron Ricker, a resident of the state of Maine in the United States, came across a natural spring on the edge of his family's property. He was impressed by the quality of the water, and Huron, that had been suffering from digestion issues for many years, decided to drink exclusively from this water to see if he would get better. After 10 days, he claimed that the water had cured his illness. It was a bold claim, so it quickly circulated among his family and neighbors. The Ricker family, who already ran a hotel in the area, quickly saw a business opportunity. They began to bottle and sell the water from the spring, which received the name of Poland Spring. The popularity of Poland Spring water grew rapidly due to advertisements, claims of health benefits, and word of mouth. In 1895, the water was proclaimed the best water in the world at the Chicago World's Fair. Fast forward to the 90s, Poland Spring had established itself as a major global brand. In 1992, Nestle acquired Poland Spring, and by the early 2000s, it had become the #1 seller of bottled water in the US with sales of $600 million. There was only one issue. Given Poland Spring's brand and backstory, one might actually assume that the water comes in fact from the natural spring that cured Huron Ricker's digestion issues. One might even imagine a beautiful spring in Maine similar to the one that you can see on the logo of the brand. In fact, Nestle advertises the brand as 100% natural spring water. But is this really the case? What is the real origin of Poland Spring water? In 2012, following Marco Rubio's Watergate incident with a bottle of Poland Spring water, researcher Peter Clegg took the occasion to once again ask Nestle for the real origin of the water. He had been trying for years to get an answer to that question, as he wrote a book about the industry in 2010. Bottled water companies, it seems, don't like to advertise the fact that much of the water they sell is not from the pristine sources that they use in their branding and advertisements. And in the United States, there is no legal requirement at all to say on the label where the water comes from. This time, however, Peter Clegg got an answer. According to Nestle, about a third of Poland Spring water came from the area surrounding Poland Spring. So not the original water spring that Huron Ricker discovered that has been out of commission for almost 60 years, but other water sources in the area. In 2017, Nestle faced allegations again. The new lawsuit was led by Mark Patan, a Vermont resident who claimed that he had spent hundreds of dollars on Poland Spring water, and he said that he felt scammed. If he knew that that was ordinary groundwater, he said he would have consumed cheaper bottled water or filtered tap water. The lawsuit accused Poland Springs of being a colossal fraud against American consumers. Despite the experience in 2003, Nestle had continued to use terms such as naturally purified or 100% natural spring water. But the lawsuit alleged that instead of selling spring water, Nestle was selling ordinary groundwater.
Not one drop of Poland Spring water emanates from a water source that complies with the Food and Drug Administration definition of spring water,
said the lawsuit.
The famous Poland Spring in Maine, which the company claims is the source of Poland Spring water, ran dry 50 years ago.
While the Poland Spring label depicts pristine scenes of water flowing down a hillside in the forest, Poland Spring water is actually sourced from wells in highly populated areas near potential sources of contamination. The actual sites from which Nestle collected the water, claimed the lawsuit,
are near a present or former human waste dump, refuse pit, landfill, ash pile, salt mound, farm where pesticides were previously used, fish hatchery, or toxic petroleum dump site.
The company said the claimants was illegally mislabeling the product to get massive profits. In 2021, Nestle seems to have decided that selling tap water was a bit of a headache. So the company completed a $4.3 billion deal to sell its bottled water brands in North America, including Poland Spring Water, to a couple of private equity firms. Bluetriton Brands is now the owner of Poland Spring. Residents of Maine and water rights activists have expressed concerns. While they were certainly not big fans of Nestle, they worried that the private equity companies would pay even less attention to consumers and be less responsive to concerns of neighbors. The lawsuit from 2017 has yet not been solved, but the brand has kept receiving accusations. In 2021, a proposed class action lawsuit claimed that while the company claims that bottles are 100% recyclable, the bottles are in truth unsuitable for recycling. That's a fact because the bottles are made with non-recyclable caps and labels that cannot be processed. Moreover, due to current limitations in recycling, most bottles actually end up in landfills or incinerated, contrary to what you might assume when you read 100% recyclable claims. According to existing regulations,
for a product to be called recyclable, there must be an established recycling program, municipal or private, through which the product will be converted into, or used in, another product or package.
In other words, even if technically recyclable, a product cannot be labeled recyclable if there is no infrastructure in the territory to actually recycle the product. Scientists estimate that only around 9% of all plastic waste generated globally is actually recycled. If all this wasn't enough, in 2024 a new lawsuit alleged that Poland Spring Water contains dangerous levels of microplastics and alarming levels of synthetic phthalates. The document claims that every bottle of Poland Spring is full with microplastics, tiny fragments of plastic that are toxic to human health and have become a huge problem in the bottled water industry, with particles found in more than 90% of bottles tested. Allegedly, it also contains phthalates, a synthetic chemical used to increase the flexibility and durability of plastics. Indeed, testing conducted by Consumer Reports found that Poland Spring contained over 4,000 nanograms of phthalates per plastic bottle. This substance is linked to heart problems and hormone disruption. There is no safe level of consumption for phthalates. Therefore, according to the document,
labeling Poland Spring as 100% natural spring water is deceptive and confusing. A reasonable consumer purchases Poland Spring believing they are getting a bottle of nothing but spring water from nature. Reasonable consumers, however, would not deem Poland Spring to be 100% natural spring water if they knew that the water in each bottle contains phthalates and microplastics.
According to Peter Clegg, who has researched the bottled water industry for years, the real issue is that no one is really looking over the shoulders of bottled water companies. The global bottled water market reached a value of $300 billion in 2022 and is expected to rise around $500 billion by 2032. Yet, while we spend so much money on bottled water, most of us don't really know much about the origins of the water, and Poland Spring is a clear example of that. In his research, for instance, Clegg found that about 45% of bottled water brands are simply selling tap water in a bottle. So instead of spending money on bottled tap water, why not simply drink tap water for free?